One of y'all, I'm not on yet, am I? All right, thank y'all for being here. Excited to get a couple wins in a row. That was positive for our football team. Everything wasn't pretty, but we found a way to win. We go on the road after being home for 4 weeks to play UT Martin. First time we played them. Really good football team. I think depending on which poll you look at, they're top 15, top 20 in the country, depending on which poll. They were several rounds deep in the playoffs a year ago. They're 5-3, but 2 of their losses came to University of Tennessee and Boise State. So I kind of throw those out. They're really 5-1 versus FCS. And those 6 games, they're averaging about 45 points a game. They're giving up 26 points. They're pretty stingy when it comes to run game. They're giving up about 115 yards a game. Really good football team. Solid across the board, not a lot of weaknesses. So it's going to be a challenge for us, obviously, to get ready to go play, to prepare the right way, and see if we can get all 3 phases, engaged and ready to go for 4 quarters, because we're going to have to do that against a really good football team. So, we got our work cut out for us this week. We got to continue to build on our preparation. That's where it's all going to come from. The word this week's really been about consistency, being able to do something consistently over and over, really just a simple, normal task over and over, and we're going to have to be able to do that against a really good football team on the road. So we got our work cut out for us. We got to have a great week of practice. I know that sounds like a broken record, but it is what it is. That's what you have to do to go win big games, and see if we can find a way to win another one, and kind of talked about our mission of, winning a game, then winning another one. Now we're trying to do that. So we got to have a great week of practice so we can get done against a really, really explosive, good football team. So I'll open the floor for questions.
All right, Coach, after 6 straight games, 4 straight at home, entering November, how's the team's health?
We're all banged up. I mean, the injury list is a mile long, but I think for the most part, most guys are going to be able to play on Saturday. There's a few that are out and a few that are out for the year. But considering where we are and how much football we've played this year, we're probably not in too bad a shape. But everybody, like I said, I was talking this morning, our staff meeting, if you played for us, you're hurting right now. Because it's a long year. We've played a lot of football. And so you're going to be banged up. There's just there's no 2 ways about it. So not too bad. We've also had, like I know everybody else, the upper respiratory stuff for the last couple of weeks has been running through us pretty rampant. It's still lingering. Hopefully we can get through it here in the next week. But that's been running through as well. We had a starter miss a game last week just from being out, from being sick. So, we got some guys banged up, and we're not completely healthy, but I'm not sure who is this time of year.
And entering this week, you guys ranked 1st in the country in fewest penalty yards, 5th in the country in fewest penalties. Was that a point of emphasis for you guys entering this season, or is that just how these guys have handled it?
It's always a point of emphasis, and I didn't even know that's a good stat. I didn't even know that. But it's something, obviously we always emphasize. It's really discipline, and we've definitely been better at that at times. So it wasn't anything specific, week to week. It's just something we try to do within our program. If we can keep that up, then we got to clean up some other things if we want to win along with that.
I know you touched on Saturday. I'm having Coach Dooley here and help building the program. What was it like getting to pick his brain and building this program from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, after the game, I mean, his wisdom in all areas, from coaching to administration, just life is, you just sit there and you're like a sponge trying to take in what time you have. It's incredible how much wisdom he has and how he can articulate it, and the positive impact he had on everybody he interacted with. And I think that's unusual. So he was a special person for sure.
Coach, do you remember what it's like to get ready for a road game? It's been a month.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. You're on the road the first part of the year, and then all of a sudden you're home for 4 weeks. So I told our guys yesterday, we got an early start, and we got a nice little bus ride, and we got to get ready to go. We got about an hour ride from the hotel to the stadium Saturday morning. So I went ahead and went through, made sure we're prepared for for what we got to do. So for me, sometimes it's kind of nice to get away. You get on that bus, you can kind of put everything else aside and really focus in on the game. We haven't won a road game this year. Another challenge we have in front of us. And early on we struggled with that a little bit, and hopefully we're in a better place now.
They seem to have a star linebacker in Ford. He was opportunistic in their game against Houston Christian last week. What does he show on film?
He's good. Listen, they don't really have any weaknesses. Like you keep watching, on both sides of the ball, and you're looking for, all right, maybe here or there. But he's a good player. They're solid across the board. They're really good on defense. Like I said, they're not giving up a lot, creating turnovers, opportune turnovers, especially in the second half. They're opportune, and then offensively they're just their quarterback makes them go. They can run the ball. They'll home run you, run the ball, and then they got as talented a wide receiver corps as we'll see. And they'll get behind you in a heartbeat. They get behind Tennessee. They get behind everybody, and they got those a heck of a deep ball. So back to your question about linebacker, he's a good player. They're a good football team, across the board. That's playing really well.
Yeah, you mentioned the turnovers. I believe they're one of the top teams in the nation as far as turnover margin goes, and they had, I think, like 5 or 6 in the game last week. How are they getting those turnovers? Is it strip sacks? Is it interceptions? Is it big hits that cause fumbles? What do they look like this year?
It's a little bit of everything, and they do a good job of running to the ball and playing hard, and they create a lot of the stuff that happens. They got a knack for in the second half of, game might be close, and all of a sudden, bam, a turnover, a big play on their behalf, whatever it might be, and you look up and they got a 3-touchdown lead. And they're really good at it, and it's and it's a combination of all of it where they're creating big momentum plays, whether it be a turnover or a big play on offense or whatever it might be, and they're really good at it. And it happens a lot. It's not like it's just one game or the other. They're good at what they do, and so it's just that's why I talk to our guys about we got to be consistent. We can't play a quarter and then kind of we've been a little bit that way this year. We got to go play. Just to give ourselves a chance.
You spoke going into the last game how happy you were with the effort of the KSU defense looking back at the Tennessee Tech game compared to the rest of the year. What did you see on film in the effort category against Charleston Southern?
Yeah, it wasn't quite as good. I wouldn't call it bad. It wasn't as good as it was the week before, but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't quite as good as it was the week before, and I think we're going to have to do that this week. It's going to have to be the best we've had really all year. And really in all 3 phases. Special teams, we were really good from an effort standpoint Saturday. If we can get our efforts, down below 5 in special teams and under 20 on each side of the ball, we're putting ourselves in a position to have a chance. And then you got to go execute, take care of the ball, create. All the other stuff that goes with it. But just from an effort standpoint, that's something we got to be able to go do Saturday.
In the game against Charleston Southern, the team had success passing the football in the first half, had some difficulties establishing the run, and then the run seemed to open up more in the second half. What changed at halftime or anything going into that third quarter?
I don't know that it was anything major other than we just played a little bit better, there in the second half. We were all from the first snap. And first snap of the game, we turned the 5 technique loose. And then 2-3 plays later, we don't get the signal correct. It was – I don't know. I don't have a great answer. We were not on offensively, and we did regroup a little bit and were able to get some things going. But we got to be able to establish a run. We got to be able to run the football, to give ourselves a chance to win. And we did do that a little bit better, obviously, in the second half, but we got to be more consistent with that. It goes back to we're just not consistent enough at what we're doing.
And going back and reviewing film of the Charleston Southern game, was there anything else that stood out in your eyes, whether it was individual or collective effort?
Markeith Montgomery continues to really play well. I think our guys up front, we're continuing to challenge them on defense. What we said would be a strength, and they're getting better every week. They're playing better every week. So I think there was some positive there. I think there's a lot of positives with our football team. I think the part that's on the flip side of that is we're not consistent with those things. I think if defense, who I thought played fairly well, and then we kind of I don't know if we relaxed or whatever happened. They have a couple drives that, in all honesty, all our guys will tell you they shouldn't have had. And then you mentioned the offensive piece of it where, we're can't do anything. Then it looks like we can. Then we're kind of, and then you look at the kicking game. We'll hit a really good kick, and then all of a sudden we'll line drive one to the far side of the field. We're not consistent enough, and you got to prepare that way. And when you're playing good teams like we're going to play Saturday, you can't afford to be a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean? We got to be consistent in what we're doing, and that's really the message for this week. I did want to bring up one thing about the game Saturday because I know it was kind of confusing, and nobody really asked me after the game, but there was penalties. All right, at the beginning of the game and at the beginning of the second half. There was also a timeout taken from Charleston Southern in each quarter of the game. What happened with that was when you go on the road or you play at home, if you're at home, you're required to wear a dark jersey. When you go on the road, you're required to wear a white jersey. And if you don't do that, like if you guys remember at home, against Central Arkansas, we wore white jerseys. We sent that information out over the summer, asked if it was good with them. So we communicated, but the rule says you have to do that. Well, the officials come over and talk to each head coach for the game. And they came over and they said, Coach, they're in gray jersey. I said, yeah, I know it. I said, I don't know anything about it. And they said, well, I said, I haven't heard anything about it. They didn't say anything to us. So they went back, and obviously the officials went back in and talked to their head official and came back out and said, here's the penalty for not wearing the proper jersey or not communicating about the proper jersey for the game. It's a 15-yard penalty at the beginning of each half, and then you basically lose 2 timeouts a half, essentially. Pretty drastic penalty for that. So I know there was probably a lot of confusion on what that really was. Basically, that's it. You have to communicate if you're going to wear a different color jersey ahead of time. They did not. I don't know what happened or why. I really didn't chase it. The officials were the one that came out and said this is what is supposed to happen. So I know there was some confusion about that. I thought I would just clear it up for whatever reason. Just thought I would. Anything else you guys got?
Coach, what did you learn most about your team after what was a long October?
Well, I think, you come out of that Central Arkansas game, right? You're sitting there at 2-4. Your goals have kind of been, you kind of got hit between the eyes, right? Every year here, except for the first year we were here, we've been in the running to play for a conference championship and go to the playoffs. And at that point in time, anything can happen, right? But you got to reset a little bit. And I actually changed what we put up on the screen and did some different things to try to make sure we continue to be engaged and continue to fight. And I think the most encouraging thing was that next game. You saw a team go fight. I didn't say we played good. Fight to win a game in overtime. It could have been the exact opposite. I think it speaks volumes about our kids, the culture of the program, because that's not easy to do. And so I think that piece of it, was big for us. And then, we've continued to play, and, we'll see what this week brings. But I think when you're sitting there at that space, and we had a lot happen to us early. You know what I mean? Like you go lose the first game when you got all this stuff going on that you're supposed to be this and that, and you get beat. And you got to turn around and go play a Power 5 or, you know what I mean? It's challenging now. We ain't been through anything like that since we've been here. So I think the fight was probably the thing I was most proud of. We have not really put all 3 phases together all year. We haven't, and it'd be great for Saturday, wouldn't it? But at least we kept fighting. And to me, that's who we are. That's what we've always been. And so I would say that's definitely one thing, we've learned, that we continue to fight, and you see some guys stepping up and trying to do things the right way and trying to lead. And it's not easy now. When things aren't going your way in 2022, it's not easy. And there's been a lot of conversations about how you handle yourself in adversity and how you manage all that stuff. And I think that's been the piece that to date, we've been able to manage. And that's not easy. So on a positive note, I would say that would be something that we definitely learned, that I think there was probably a lot of people wondering what direction it would go at some point in time. But we kept fighting. I don't know how this thing's going to end. I honestly don't. I'm excited about this week and the opportunity we have to go play a ranked team, and and all those things that come with it, to go on the road and all the things that come with that. I'm excited about that. I hope our kids will be the same way.
Last thing from me, what is Markeith Montgomery speaking into existence this week?
I don't know. It's every week, man. It's we're early in the week, and but his preparation and what he's doing to get himself ready from a film standpoint, practice, taking care of his body, all that stuff has been on point. And I'm hoping whatever he's speaking will end with the fight song on Saturday night, and whatever goes on, that'll be good. But hopefully it ends with a fight song. But he's been exceptional. I can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he comes up to me, and Marquis not a real outspoken kid now, but he'll come up to me during the last few games. Coach, we're good. We got it. Multiple times. We're good. We're good. And that's good stuff. So he's hopefully he'll continue to play that way. He will, because he's in that mindset right now.